Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Compliance Webinar Series presented by Plus One Solutions. I'm Lisa Dungan, your host. As Vice President of Customer Success, I am proud to introduce Sara Everett, licensed and insurance manager with over 18 years of experience, 8 of which here at Plus One Solutions. Sara, welcome. How are things in Boise?
They're great. Thanks, Lisa. Just really excited to share what I've learned about this very important topic.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, let's get started with talking a little bit about why COI tracking is important.
You really should establish baseline requirements for the type of service or work that your contractors perform. For example, all of your suppliers should have a certain set of requirements, and all of your maintenance another set, and so on. And doing this, it really helps to create some consistency. I've had clients who have taken and negotiated with each individual contractor or vendor what their insurance requirements are going to be. And it really can start to get messy and time consuming. But and I will add also in those scenarios that your true guide to the insurance requirement is found within each individual contract. And we're actually currently helping a client get out of this process by reviewing their contracts and cleaning up their insurance to help them find that consistency across all their vendors and suppliers. Now, the other thing too is by doing this, it allows your team to more recognize when someone is out of compliance. It also, when your team is working with the contractor and hopefully with the insurance agent, they're more likely to remember what is exactly required. And it also allows you to put in some streamlined quality assurance or QA processes.
I can imagine if you had different requirements for different types of services, that would be virtually impossible for somebody to keep track on an ongoing basis. Let me ask you a question though. Let's say you have your requirements. Is it important that every requirement be checked? Are there some that are more important than others?
You have to really look at your diminishing cost for the effort that it takes to collect the certificate, and then ensure that it meets all those requirements and really all of the back and forth that have to occur between you and the contractor and the insurance agent. Now, your contract should have very robust insurance requirements that you can fall back into in the event of something like a lawsuit. Court cases time and time again have shown that they fall back on that contract to support what coverage the insurance companies are obligated to pay. But just because your contract states that you need something like waiver of subrogation on every policy doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth your time and your effort to collect that. But something like additional insured might be. Really what it is looking at the cost to track these various items with what your potential and most common risks are for the industry that your contractors work in, and then finding what is your risk threshold, what your organization would be comfortable with tracking. But to sum it up, basically, what you track doesn't necessarily precisely have to match what's in your contract. I will add that this can be a tug of war in your organization. On one side, you'll have operations, and their main objective is to just get the work done of your organization, right? And then on the other side, you'll have legal and compliance, and their objective is to protect, rightfully so, the organization from as much risk as possible. And it's about kind of coming into the middle and finding a nice balance. And the best way to do that, really, honestly, Lisa, is by reaching out to a qualified risk manager.
Okay. Another question as far as when we're talking about requirements, you've got your standard requirements. Then let's say you're bidding on work and your potential customer or a customer that you won the business for has more strict requirements. Do you have any tips or advice for when you're going to have to go out to your network and try and increase your requirements because you have a customer who has maybe a particular, requirement that you're not currently tracking, or maybe you decided was not something that you needed to do?
Yeah, your requirements really should be standard to the industry of your contractor. right? So if your customer, someone that you're, or partner, someone that you're wanting to do business with is requiring and asking you to have requirements that are more stringent, you should be asking them why you aren't more aligned. And I will add that maybe why you and your own organization isn't more aligned, going back to what is standard. Another great approach is asking them, hey, what do you actively track? So we get the contract and we assume that they're actively tracking for all of those pieces, when the odds that they are is pretty minimal. Now, I know that sometimes our customers or partners can be more powerful than us, and there's just no room for negotiation. That's just one of those things where you just make sure that the deal is all around worth it to your organization. Now, I know that you'd also asked about contractors, and if they don't want to follow the requirements as well, you really have to evaluate your relationship with them. Do you send a lot of work to them or very little work to them? Is it high risk or low risk type of work? If it's, low risk, low volume, maybe let them go, as underinsured. Again, going back to what we talked about earlier with what your organization can stand as far as a risk threshold, but maybe you just send work their way. But if they're high volume or high risk, definitely demand that they meet the requirements.
On behalf of myself and all of us at Plus One Solutions, we thank you for being here today. We look forward to working with you in the future. And remember, here at Plus One Solutions, we are your compliance partner. Thank you. Have a great day.